My name's Quinn, and I'm here to quench your quintessential quintuplet queries, and don't worry, I've heard you guys loud and clear, no jokes, just recap. Understood. Our story begins with a young, penniless... Yeah, hello, and welcome back to Kinda Neat. Our hero's name is Fuutarou Uesugi, aka the world's luckiest Although completely friendless, Fuutarou doesn't mind, as it gives him more time to pursue his passions, studying, and money. But his life is about to be turned upside down. Not once, not twice, not thrice, but quintice. Oh, I guess we're cutting right to the chase. Not wasting any time. I like it. So in the end, he picks,
Zoom in right here on the spot.
Enhance section A6.
Enhance the detail and...
Is that Mr. Mime? Back in the present, Fuutarou finishes grifting the cafeteria lady and finally gets a chance to study. But uh-oh, what's this? They both go to sit down at the same time, and they have the world's pettiest argument in front of the whole school. Oh god. I don't even know if I can show you this, it's so lewd.
Look, Uesugi's eating lunch with a girl.
She goes to bully him for his poor grades, but falls right into Fuutarou's trap card and discovers he got 100% on his exam. She begs him to help her study, and in response, Fuutarou just calls her fat. Receiving a call from his quintessential little sister, it is revealed that his family is deeply in debt to the Yakuza, and the only way out is for Fuutarou to enlist in the JSDF. But his garden hose of a body isn't built for that, so instead he opts to tutor the new rich family in town. It is now up to Fuutarou to get back on her good side. Hang on, did Itsuki change her hair? Okay, I can already tell this is gonna get confusing. We're just going to have to go off their defining traits. Itsuki can be stars, or maybe fat, and Ichika, pink hair. She teases him for being in love with Itsuki. Knocked out cold, he awakes to... With an empty mind and a full heart, Yotsuba returns his drop test and follows Fuutarou into the changing room, demanding gratitude. Scared for his life and his innocence, he remembers the old saying, "You can hide, but you can't run." Somehow someone manages to see through his disguise and rightfully calls 911. Phew. It sure is convenient that they all have a single accessory they wear every second of every day. At this point, he still thinks that the girls are just friends, and he's only tutoring Itsuki, so he follows her home, where he runs into Nino, aka Tsundere Extraordinaire, who tries to block him from getting inside. But Fuutarou puts his garden hose to work and heroically leaps over an 8-foot sign and races the elevator up 30 floors. But wait, if she's here, and she's here, does that mean... It finally dawns on Fuutarou that he's found himself nips deep in the most convoluted harem imaginable. Realizing his pay just increased by a factor of 5, he gets right to work ripping the blankets off his students? Jesus, clean your room. How can you live like that? Nino made cookies, and uh-oh, looks like the quirky girl put poison in them. Classic zany tsundere antics. Totally not a felony. The last thing Fuutarou sees before blacking out is the devil incarnate hovering over his lifeless body.
Bye-bye.
Waking up in a cab with blood dripping from every orifice, he feels empty inside. Right where his kidney used to be. But that doesn't scare Fuutarou. No, he's just concerned about how much this cab ride is going to cost him. Thankfully, Itsuki is there to foot the bill. Holy shit, would you look at the size of that thing? Step aside, hickey guys. Think again, Takanashi, because we've got a new queen of cowlicks. Futarou's younger sister Raiha uses her Emoto powers to guilt Itsuki into staying for dinner, and then overshares about their family's debt problems to a literal stranger, before beating Fuutarou over the head with a plate, asserting her dominance as the Emoto matriarch. With a better understanding of the situation, Itsuki agrees to let Fuutarou tutor them. At this point, I should probably pick a best girl, though I did just replace my TV. Not sure if I'm ready to commit just yet. Who am I kidding? Obviously it's headphones. The next day, he proceeds to follow them around and weirdly tally up how much money they're spending, but gets stumped by the concept of a matcha soda. Embarrassed, he changes the subject to something he's an expert in, peaking in high school. I mean, 5 twins at once? Fuutarou spits facts about how love is a waste of time and you're much better off studying. Man, me and Fuutarou actually have a lot in common. Just swap studying for watching anime and being too busy for love for being utterly desperate and alone, and we're basically the same person. He discovers a note on his desk, and yep, it's from Miku, asking to meet on the roof. And we all know what roofs are for, right? Getting stabbed and love confessions. Looks like I picked the right girl.
I like hairy old men.
Oh, never mind. With that off her chest, Miku heads off, but not before Futarou's curiosity gets the better of him and he knocks the phone out of her hand, revealing what she's always listening to in those headphones. She agrees to study as long as he doesn't tell anyone what he's learned, and as a peace offering buys him a matcha soda, which she says doesn't have snot in it? But, like, why would anyone think it did? Just kidding. Does that mean it does have snot in it, or it doesn't? Fuutarou doesn't catch on to her obscure snot reference, which, to Miku, means he isn't smart enough to be her tutor. So she Tony Hawks out of there and runs away, if you can even call this running. It's at this point where Fuutarou overexerts himself, and due to lack of oxygen to the brain, develops a serious case of face blindness. Cause from this point forward, he is unable to tell the 5 strikingly unique quintuplets apart. Green bow equals Yotsuba. Wait, but didn't he just... okay, this idiot must be the real Yotsuba. So then, who could that be? Miku? It's a good thing Fuutarou is out of shape, or else this really wouldn't be much of a chase. And she's taking off her tights.
No shame.
My thoughts exactly. We learn that Miku feels inferior to her sisters, who, according to her, can do everything she can and more. But Fuutarou compliments her on her individuality. No, not the headphones. The fact that they all got different answers correct. And if they were to combine into one mega Nakano Voltron, they'd have the combined brain power of one normal person. For whatever reason, this cheers her up. No amount of studying can prepare Fuutarou for his next challenge. Doors. Luckily, Miku comes along and uses her witchcraft to pry them open. Once inside, Yotsuba asks him for fashion advice.
Does it look good?
Wear a trash bag for all I care.
But apparently Fuutarou is the anti-simp, and 4/5 of the harem are so impressed that they actually gather to study. But the tsundere isn't quite ready to complete her arc yet, so one by one she convinces the quints to disband. Yotsuba has a hard time saying no, so she leaves to help out the school's basketball team, who are short one player. Ichika heads to work, and Itsuki goes to McDonald's. She accuses Miku of having a thing for dull-looking guys, but Fuutarou Uesugi is anything but dull. As long as he's not talking, he's actually quite dashing. And it seems like the quints would agree, considering they're about to have a cooking battle to decide who's more beautiful on the inside. Spoiler alert, it's not Satan. Aw, I'm sorry. Having 2 beautiful girls cook for you must be really difficult. In the end, he's actually too poor to know when food tastes good. He's just happy to be eating something other than Miku's dust. Speaking of a dusty Miku, she goes upstairs to shower, and Fuutarou heads home in defeat. But uh-oh, he forgot his flashcards. Fuutarou goes back upstairs and, uh-oh, Miku's out of the shower, but doesn't hear him come in because she's blow-drying her hair. I wonder where this is headed. Wait, Nino? Huh? Luckily, she doesn't have her contacts in, and apparently her vision is... this bad. So she thinks Fuutarou is actually Miku. I wonder where this is headed. She reveals that she doesn't have anything specifically against Fuutarou, but she wants to keep it just the 5 of them, like it's always been. Reaching up into the bookshelf where she stores her contacts, for some reason, she knocks them down, and just before she is crushed to death by the 1,000 pounds of Zack and Cody doujinshi, Fuutarou swoops in and saves her from a painful and shameful death. And oh, there it is. Inevitably, he has fallen on top of her. Judged by a jury of his peers, he is sentenced to seppuku, but before he can so much as draw his blade, Ichika makes a comment about how they don't get along like they used to, and Nino runs off crying to get some fresh air and quench her thirst. Fuutarou tries to comfort her, and it sort of works. Reinvigorated, she doubles down on being a tsundere. The next day, Fuutarou is busy taking his job too seriously when Itsuki shows up with his hard-earned money. Rather than thank Itsuki for the money, or Fuutarou for working hard, Reihai turns and thanks her dead mom. Good hustle. And do the ultra broke Uesugis use the money to pay off their debt, feed themselves, and save money for college? Nope, they blow it all gambling. No wonder they're poor. It turns out face blindness is hereditary, as Reihai insists that there are 5 Itsukis, despite looking no more alike than Fuutarou and I. What? I can dream, can't I? The 5 Itsukis invite Reihai to watch the fireworks. Fat, pink, bow, headphones, and Russian. It's not that hard. See what I mean? Even at the festival, Miku's wearing her headphones and Itsuki's stuffing her face. Once again, we're shown just how out of touch the Nakano quints are, as they rent out an entire roof so that they can watch the fireworks away from all the peasants below. But I guess they get a pass, as it was a tradition they shared with their dead mom. Like before she died. Oh no, where'd everyone go? Fuutarou volunteers to help the Russian intelligence agent find her missing quints before the end of the fireworks show. Though I don't know why he doesn't just text them the address. I guess there's just so many people that they can't get any service. What the f? He goes to grab Ichika, but is cock-blocked by this guy with pudding smeared on his lip? Oh, easy. Just tell them you're the tutor and get back to the roof. But it's tutor. Just say tutor. And she's gone. Miku heard someone awkwardly screaming and knew it must be Fuutarou. But uh-oh, she's got a little bruise on her foot.
You'll go on without me.
He gives her a bandage, and like a child, the pain is now gone. By sheer coincidence, he's once again asked what his relationship is to the Nakanos. Alright, this is what we've been preparing for. Tell them you're her tutor. And they're gone. Oh, I didn't realize his tutoring job came with benefits. We learn that Ichika has dreams of becoming a famous VTuber, and Pudding-san is actually just her manager, trying to take her to her first stream. But Ichika is having doubts and continues to hide. Live-sama grabs hold of Ichika and heads for the collab, but Fuutarou steps in to save her. Wait a minute, how can there be two Ichikas? Huh? Once again, Fuutarou is faced with the skill testing question. Just say tutor, or I'd even accept friend at this point. Idiot! A shadow creeps up behind them. Scared for his life, Fuutarou leaves Miku to die and runs to safety. Bumping into Ichika, he helps her prepare for the stream, but gets a little bit too into his simp character and double slaps the pog out of her. He tells her to be herself and not always put on a fake smile to keep others happy. She wanted to become successful before telling her sisters, so that she can prove that she stands tall as the oldest. By like 5 seconds, but whatever. Thirsty from all the excitement, Fuutarou brews some matcha soda and waits for Ichika to finish. Together they head to a nearby park to make up for missing the fireworks. Yeah, this is just as good.
We're 5/5, and together we are one.
Brain. Fuutarou takes Ichika's thighs for a spin, winning the heart of yet another quint. The next day after school, the quints want to go for parfaits, but Fuutarou wants to go home and study, so they meet in the middle and go home to study. On his way home, he receives an important call from Mr. Nakano.
I don't know who you are, but I will find you. And I will kill you.
Who tells him that if even one of his daughters fails an exam, he's fired. Knowing that's not possible, Fuutarou lashes out and says the worst thing possible. Itsuki finally catches on that all Mr. Beef Combo No Beef cares about is money. Exactly! Not partners, not friends, tutor, and predator. With exams just around the corner, they all gather together for one last game of life?
Even in a board game, I'm still poor.
They waste so much time that he's left with no choice but to spend the night. And you know what that means. Bath time! Multitasking, he apologizes to Itsuki through the door for being such a jerk earlier. But hang on, something's not quite right. I'd recognize that silhouette anywhere. That's not Itsuki, that's Michelle Obama. Wait, Nino? Huh?
美少女たちの残り湯を堪能してるんだよ。
Ew, did they all use the same water? How much for a jar? Everyone changes into adorable pajamas and then gets back to studying. For every page they complete, Fuutarou agrees to tell them one thing he looks for in a girl. Weirdly specific, but okay. If only we knew someone like that. Oh right, show's over, back to the wedding. In the lewdest scene so far, Ichika, Miku, and Fuutarou have a three-way. Head pad. Heart racing, Fuutarou heads out onto the balcony to cool off, but Ichika wasn't finished with him yet and follows him out for another round. I hope they wear protection. Oh, thank God. Ichika explains that deep down, Itsuki would much rather be studying with everyone together, but her feelings are just too hurt for now. They let Fuutarou sleep in Miku's bed, which works out fine until she gets up for a glass of water and in her dazed state returns to her own bed. I don't want to say I told you so, but things are looking pretty good for #Team Miku. Itsuki doesn't understand how her sisters are able to get along with Fuutarou, so they turn her into Miku so that she can experience his good side for herself.
Meanwhile,
Fuutarou awakes next to a sleeping Miku and sneaks out of the room, but comes face to face with the imposter. Luckily, the real Miku had an alibi, so he votes Itsuki off the ship. Later, they all head to the library, but uh-oh, Ichika forgot her pencils. So they send Fuutarou all the way home to get more. Heading upstairs, he finds... wait. Miku? Oh no, it's just Itsuki. They both pretend that she's Miku to make things less awkward as they exchange cryptic apologies.
1週間よく頑張ったな。
Did they? When? All I saw was festivals, board games, and headpads. With all that excitement, it's no wonder they slept until 8:05. Wait, their exams are in 25 minutes! They all sprint to school, only stopping to help a grandma across the street, take a nap, and buy donuts. By the time they arrive at school, the doors are already locked, so they move all their stat points into stealth
I move in the dark like a shadow.
and trick the teacher into thinking that she's actually Yotsuba. And then again, and again, and again. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 5 times, shame on me. The teacher somehow sees through Fuutarou's amazing disguise.
You'll go on without me.
But it was all for naught, because they all failed miserably. Rather than roast them, Fuutarou celebrates how far they've come, which ironically shows just how far he's come as well. Mr. Nakano calls again for a report, and Fuutarou begins to tell him to find a more qualified tutor, but Nino snatches the phone away and uses tricky wording to imply that they passed every subject combined. Back at the Uesugi's, we learn that Fuutarou used to be a wild child, and at one point was even in love with a girl who he creepily still keeps a photo of in his student handbook. Miku cooks croquettes for Fuutarou, but once again, he's too poor to know if they taste good or not.
You're just picky because you're so wealthy and spoiled.
Unsatisfied with his answers, Miku makes batch after batch trying to get it right, but all she does is give baby Fuuti a stomachache. Left alone with Yotsuba, she explains that the reason she's always been so nice to him is because...
好きだから
Psych!
I was just yanking your chain!
It only took 8 episodes, him moving into their home, and Ichika blackmailing him, but they finally all exchange email addresses. However, while getting Nino's digits, he forgets his student handbook containing the creepy photo because he had to run off to spy on Yotsuba, who goes to turn down an invitation to join the school basketball team permanently, showing just how far she's come from the girl who can't say no to anyone. Rather than just ask nicely, Fuutarou breaks into Nino's room while she's asleep to recover the photograph. But as we know, he's not exactly a ninja, so she ends up seeing the picture, but doesn't recognize Fuutarou, and instead just falls in love with a fictional 12-year-old. Not weird at all. Recovering the photo, he unfolds it to reveal the girl that he was in love with. And I don't know about you, but looks suspiciously like Miku to me. At last, we reach the field trip arc, complete with a test of courage, skiing, curry, and an urban legend. Whoever is holding hands at the end of the bonfire dance will stay with that person forever.
なんで好きな人と付き合うんだろう
Oh, I guess no one's had the talk with you yet, hey? Well, when a man and woman love each other very much...
勉強始めるぞ
Ichika has a stream to get to, so she asks Miku to fill in for her. And this time she actually wigs down and smiles up. Disguised as Ichika, Miku meets up with some weasel trying to encroach on Fuutarou's turf. But our boy would never let that happen. Together they lie and say that they've already agreed to dance together at the campfire. But the weasel's not buying it. He demands to see undeniable proof. If you're under 18, please skip ahead now. While shopping for an outfit to wear to camp, Fuutarou sees that he has, 10 missed calls from his dad? This must be a real emergency. Was there an accident? Is Raiha okay? Oh god, she's got a slight cold. It doesn't get any worse than that. And with her last breath, she utters her dying wish, that Fuutarou goes to camp and has fun with his harem. But he knows that there's only one way she'll recover from this, if he sits cross-legged and watches her sleep. Up until this point, Fuutarou has played it cool and acted like he didn't care about camp, as it had nothing to do with money or studying. But it's revealed that he was so excited, he bookmarked all the activities he wanted to participate in while on the trip. To rub salt in the wound, Raiha wakes up 100% better, so he missed the trip for nothing. But as per usual, the Nakanos use their money and influence to get special treatment and pick him up in the limo, where they teach him the quintuplet game, where you just guess what finger they're holding up. Wouldn't that be super easy? I mean, that's clearly her... thumb? No! Stuck in the snow, they're forced to spend the night at a nearby inn. And whoa, there's only one room available. Looks like they'll all have to share. The prospect of sharing the tatami with the quints, coupled with finding the good luck charm his sister made him, leaves Fuutarou in a strangely good mood. Ichika feels obligated to dance with him at the campfire as to not anger the rodent, so she asks for Miku's permission, who graciously gives her the go-ahead. Did someone just say mixed bath? After a series of conveniently placed arms, they turn in for the night. Ichika awakes from her nightmare to find she's tossed and turned her way over to Fuutarou. With her heart pounding, she begins to question what her true feelings for him are. As is tradition at Japanese camp, they just have the kids do a bunch of chores, which gives the weasel an opportunity to ask the king for some much needed advice.
5 twins? Nice.
Having planned the test of courage himself, Fuutarou advises the weasel to bring a girl to it to demonstrate his manliness. Well, that didn't work. Totally unafraid, Miku and Ichika walk right up to the ghouls for a chat. Watching Ichika's playful relationship with Fuutarou plants a seed of jealousy in Miku's mind, and she rethinks her decision to let the two dance around the fire together. Along comes Nino and Itsuki, who don't make it 2 steps without. But little does Itsuki know, she's about to come face to face with her worst nightmare. Terrified, Itsuki runs off in the wrong direction. Nino can't keep up and finds herself alone and afraid. But really, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Someone rescue me.
Hearing the explosion, Fuutarou comes to save the day. But hang on, this person's blonde. Oh, it must be the guy from the picture. Nobody else blonde exists, right? So Fuutarou assumes the fictional hunk's identity and goes by Quintessential. Using the stars to navigate, he helps Nino escape from the haunted woods. But uh-oh, he's got a tiny bruise on his forehead. Someone get this guy a band-aid, stat. That's better. But suddenly, they get the feeling that they're not alone. Startled, Quintessential takes off and doesn't look back. Heartbroken, Nino yeets herself off a cliff, but at the last second is lassoed by a tiny piece of good luck charm string. Impressed by Kintaro's bravery, she asks him to dance at the fire, completing her tsundere arc. Returning to camp, they get right back to work on their chores. While moving 1,000 giant logs 3 miles from the shed to the fire, Fuutarou is sad that he somehow managed to upset all the girls, when all he wanted to do was have a fun camp experience together. Not wanting to further upset Nino, he asks Ichika to call off their dance, causing tears to run down her cheeks and confirming her suspicion that she might have real feelings for Fuutarou. They hear people coming and dive into cover for whatever reason. See, they didn't even know. Must be because they need a reason to get lost. And there it is. Fuutarou offers to break down the door, but can't because it would set off the security system. So instead they just freeze to death. At this point, the only thing that could warm Fuutarou's frozen cheeks and heart is a pair of thick thighs for this nice guy. Fuutarou can't promise that, so instead they try to build a fire, inside an enclosed wooden building with no ventilation. Ichika reveals her plan to drop out of school and pursue VTube full-time. She knows that she'll never keep up academically, and this might be her one shot at a real career. And surprisingly, Fuutarou fully supports her, until he realizes
I'm out 20%!
Learning about the campfire legend, Ichika regrets ever agreeing to take the dance away from Miku, so instead they have their own dance around the fire. But before they can so much as Dougie, a log gets bumped. Suddenly Fuutarou becomes 10 times hotter and heroically dips Ichika out of the way. But the log falls into the door and sets off the alarm, like they should have done in the first place. And then their fire sets off the sprinkler system. The room fills up with water and they drown. Just in the nick of time, Miku and Itsuki come to their rescue, but are not pleased to see them soaking wet and huddled close. After a quick scolding from the teacher, it's time to go skiing. Except Ichika, who got wet, so is obviously now sick.
Sleep is for the weak.
I couldn't agree more. Having never skied before, Fuutarou stays close to Yotsuba-sensei. To the gang's great surprise, they bump into Ichika, who in an anime first has powered through her cold to come ski. However, just skiing is too boring. The Nakanos would rather play Extreme Tag! The fall knocks the band-aid right off Futarou's face and directly into Nino's hands. Ew. She chases him down, thinking that he's Quintessential, trapping him between 2 unthinkable options. Either he gets caught in an incredibly embarrassing lie, or he loses tag. But just when all hope seems lost, he dives into a convenient igloo. Oh. Hello there, Miku. Come here often? That igloo actually looks a lot like the one I grew up in. Okay, just kiss already. We all know Miku's going to win. We cut back to Yotsuba, who is skiing again. Does that mean she went back up the chairlift looking for I don't understand this game. Miku hatches a plan to have a 3-way campfire dance, so they can all live haremly ever after. Fuutarou finally accepts that he caught his sister's cold and has been sick the entire trip. Hey, Fuutarou, ever heard of social distancing? Masks? You've already got Ichika and probably Miku sick. You want Itsuki dead as well? Speaking of which, where is Itsuki? We haven't seen her in like 5 minutes. Maybe she went to the bathroom, or maybe she's dead. Everyone panic! While heading back up the mountain to look for her, Fuutarou thinks he sees her from the chairlift.
違うような。
Are you sure? Fuutarou yanks off her hood and reveals that it was actually Itsuki all along. Huh? No, this time I actually even fell for it. She dressed up as Ichika to try and learn the truth about what happened in the shed, but she made one fatal mistake. She called him Uesugi, while Ichika calls him Fuutarou, and his suspicions were confirmed by her terrible eyesight. But before he can call an emergency meeting, he passes out. Damn, he must be really sick. He should probably go to the hospital, or I guess just take a nap. That's cool too. The teacher is jealous of Fuutarou's harem, so he bans the quints from taking care of him. By this point, all of the girls have more or less come to terms with their feelings for Fuutarou, and Miku realizes that she doesn't have to share everything with her sisters. So she declares an official waifu war. May the best quint win. Yotsuba, seriously falling behind in screen time, is feeling disheartened that the trip went so poorly. But then she finds Fuutarou's list of fun stories to tell Raiha, like the time they played the epic quintuplet game, and realizes that maybe he did have fun after all. Meanwhile, the pervy teacher intensely watches Fuutarou sleep, but gets interrupted by John Lennon running off for an autograph. He reveals Itsuki hiding in the dark, traumatized by what she just witnessed. She stumbles around for the light switch and okay, I'm not even gonna ask how they could possibly get intertwined into that position without noticing each other, or even how they one by one snuck into this room. But basically, they were all worried about Fuutarou and wanted to come check on him. Now that I think about it, the show would be a very different vibe if the genders were swapped. With the campfire starting to die down and the last dance of the night beginning, we finally get to find out which of the 5 genuine and kind girls will have the honor of becoming Mrs. Beef Combo No Beef. And the winner of Waifu War 2 is... Oh, what the f***? If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my zany weeb antics. And if you'd like to see an extended cut with an extra few minutes of goofs, it's available on my Patreon. Thanks for watching.